Welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and today's car is the Lotus Elan Sprint, a car I have owned forever, it feels like. If I actually look at its file, I bought this car in September 93, so 26 years ago. And it's about time I did a video on this car anyway, because it's one of the favourites in the garage, obviously, because it's stayed that long. But I got a call from Lotus a few weeks ago, because down in London today is the launch of their new electric supercar, the Lotus Evija, I think is how you say it. We'll find out this afternoon. They have organised a convoy around London for a collection of Lotus, classic Lotus, but there had to be a yellow Lotus, so they asked if they could borrow the Elan. Now, in 26 years of owning this, and I had another Elan I used to race that I bought in 87, in 32 years then of Elan ownership, I've never driven the car into London. It's not a London sort of car because it's tiny, people don't spot you. It's a bit vulnerable on its ends because the bumpers are painted fiberglass and it's about that big. So it's something I've never really thought of doing, but when you get an invite like that, you feel you have to do it. And this car, I ought to just say, sits normally over there in my lightweight corner, as I describe it. Because what always gets me about the Elan is just how light it is. Weighed it this morning just to check, 670 kilos. Just crazy light. To put that in perspective, the Lancia, little Fulvia Sport, I thought that was lighter at 960 kilos. No, it's 300 kilos lighter than the Lancia. And then if you look at the Lotus Esprit, the Giugiaro Esprit, that's super light really for what it is, 1160 kilos. That makes that Esprit half a ton heavier than this Elan. Dynamics are off the scale on this car. Whether it makes a town car, I'm not sure. So anyway, I've got to fly because I'm running late as ever. So I've got to quickly pack my bag and head into London. See you later. I'm hoping you can still hear me because obviously the roof is off. And yeah, what time is it? 10 to 12. Got to be outside the Royal Horticultural Halls in London, central London, for around 2 o'clock. And the only thing I didn't really want today was a really hot day, because the Lotus Elans are always slightly marginal on cooling. And a great big tractor has just pulled out on me, and I know who it is. He's going to pull over for me, I think. Yeah. There we are. He does. There he is. Oh. Barley harvest is starting. It's actually what I should be doing is barley harvest, but I'm in this instead. Anyway, what I was saying, yeah, a hot day isn't ideal for a little Elan to sit in traffic. Really, I've never really tested it, see whether this does overheat, but it's forecast to be about 27 degrees today. We are in the most snarled up parts of London today, so that's another little thing. I'll see how we get on. Maybe I'm worrying about nothing, but the only way to find out is to get down there. At the moment it's just a nice little blast through the lanes, and then it's down the M40. No point filming on the M40, you'll know what a motorway looks like, and head into London. Eeks. I think I might actually put a hat on as well. Typical, it had to be this hot. Following Waze as ever into London. I have to say the run down here was pretty painless actually. Didn't have to worry about the temperature in the end. Sat at 70 on the motorway. Funny enough, this speedo, I don't understand it. Same as the Spada, absolutely bob-on accurate. How's that work? You get a car from the 70s, and when it says it's doing 70 miles an hour, it is doing the GPS confirmed 70 miles an hour. Why can't we do that now? Coming up to Marble Arch at the moment. Quite excited about this little adventure, seeing what Lotus are going to show us, seeing the supercar. We start I'm trying to think the last time I went on a Lotus launch in London, because they don't really do very many launches, Lotus, and I think it was a 340R back in '99, was it? And that was on Leicester Square, and it was in a nightclub. But unfortunately, it was about 8 o'clock in the morning or something. We all had to gather and see this amazing car. I mean, really, truly took our breath away. And at that event, I have to confess that I stuck my hand out and said, "Oh, can I have one, please?" And had a little deal with the boss and said, "Yeah, I'll take one. Decide the spec for me, so it's the ultimate spec." And that's how Evo, in the early days, got a 340R. Now, whether that's going to happen today, I somehow doubt it. It's a lot easier to impulse buy a 340R at about 30,000 than a electric supercar that's going to be very expensive, I'm sure. Anyway, still got to make it to the venue. And yeah, I just think, when was the last time you saw a Lotus Elan Sprint in central London? I can't ever remember seeing one all the time I've been down here. Sort of early photographs, Peter Sellers and that gang used to have Elans. But I just can't think of one I've ever seen. And I'm guilty as charged for never bringing this one into London until now. Now, where we're heading down to, Grosvenor Place is where we're going to head to next. So I think we go down, oh yeah, all the Park Lane at the moment. Just mad. I also rather like that this car is ultra low emission zone exempt. Being an historic car, it's fine, so you don't have to pay extra to bring you historic. So maybe I ought to do this more often. Become my city car along with my Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 1969. I'll also tell you a little bit more about this car and the history as well, because yes, I bought it in September '93, but it was in a bit of a sorry state. It was a jumble of boxes. It was a sort of part rebuild that had run out of budget. Patchy sort of body. It was a matter of bolting it all together, but first of all painting it and finding an interior. And I had that race Elan, and the more I enhanced the race Elan, the less Elan-like it came to be. So the idea of this car was to make the perfect road car, perfect road-going Elan, and that from a dynamic point of view. So everything was right on it, dynamic. It was all brand new wishbones and suspension, and I wanted a lightweight body. And when the body went up, it was a Mick Miller. Some of you Lotus Land might know Mick Miller. He was a wonderful gent who was passionate about his Lotus Elan and painting them properly. The downside, he had quite a waiting list before you could get your car painted by Mick Miller. But it was always worth it, and it was a 2-year or thereabouts. One thing I haven't got is wing mirrors. I'd quite like wing mirrors. Yeah, so you had to wait for your Elan, but when it came back, it was stunning. And I wanted a Mick Miller Elan, so it went off there, all booked in. He rang me up and said, "Your body has had several crashes and is full of filler, and I can't do my standard of work on your body." I said, "Oh dear," but he said it's okay because Lotus are making new bodies for Elans, and you can just buy them off the shelf. And he says the other plus thing, he says they're really light, because Elan body weights varied over the years, depending how financially strong Lotus was at the time. And if you have an S2 or S3 Elan, you have the heaviest Elan of all, because they slap the glass fibre and gel coat on, waste all the materials required. I had a beautifully strong body. The downside, it was a bit heavy. By the time the Lotus Elan came along, Lotus was not quite so financially strong, so they cut back on the amount of glass fibre they use and things, which was a bit of a shame, but it meant you got a light Elan. And this body, I checked the weights, and I got the lightest one I could, and that's partly the reason why it's so light on the scales at 680 kilos, whatever it came out as. I'm in a right old scrum here. I have to pay attention soon. So yeah, that's part of the reason this is so light. And also, I just know this Elan intimately because I built it from a pile of bits in boxes over a 2-year period. And weirdly, it all seems to have held together very well since then. I sort of kid myself it's got a rebuilt engine, but I was checking the invoice earlier, and yes, it had a rebuilt engine in 1988, about 28,000 miles ago. So it's not quite as new and fresh and rebuilt as I like to think it is. Got a lorry trying to do this. Right, I better break off and concentrate on where we're going. See you later. This is a part of London I do not know. So I'm very glad that Waze knows the way. As ever, London is a construction site. Very close. Over here. Yellow at least just ahead. Vincent Square. Oh no, it's an Elan. It's the next generation Elan. Fantastic. Fantastic. We did it. Right, that's that bit done. And here, God, fantastic. See that Giugiaro, the yellow Giugiaro Esprit. Right, charging around London now. We've set off, the convoy set off. It's quite easy actually to follow because there are 12, I've been told, classic Lotus going around London at the moment. We're just going past the Houses of Parliament, Big Ben and things. Already people are starting to stop. What's going on? What's going on? And it's all quite fun being part of a Lotus launch because they don't happen very often. And I've just had a sneak look at the Type 130. It's pretty special, but I'm not allowed to say anything about it until 7 o'clock tonight. We've got a later Elan behind, actually. How we're actually going to keep together in central London is going to be a struggle, but we're heading for the Mall, really. That's the money shot going down the Mall. So I reckon that's the next time you'll join us. Go on, look, there we go. Here we go. Got a chicane now. That's a slow, I suppose, a slow Harry down or something. Prince Harry, that is, not me. Well, right, oh, they're all pulled over up there. That's all right. So yeah, 12 cars, they all got round, got the shots. Can't get over how the little Elan behaved, but it's actually time to go into the hall now and see this Type 130, which I can't wait. Well, morning. It's the day after the craziness of Lotusness in London yesterday. First of all, bringing the Elan down, then the convoy, and then seeing this Evija, this new Lotus electric supercar last night. Hypercar, really. 2,000 horsepower. It want. I just love that this is Lotus with proper investment and a new vision, and where's it going to take Lotus? As a brand, I really like Lotus. It feels very British, it has an identity, the lightness, the motorsport, the history, the Jim Clark, the JPS Lotuses, the ground effect, everything about Lotus, fantastic. And the lightweight philosophy that we saw with this Elan and the Esprit and also the Elise. And I'm really interested to see where that's going to go, that journey. But the Evija, the Evija, what is it? Evija, I think is how you say it. Last night, there is some real positive, because I think the design language and how they've used aerodynamics and its presence and the interior, and you just see it and you just love it, you want to drive it. I find it inexplicable why it has 2,000 horsepower. Why do we need 2,000 horsepower? We seem to have jumped, you know, the Veyron introduced 1,000 horsepower, and the Chiron went to like 1,500 horsepower, and now suddenly we're at 2,000 horsepower with these electric EVs. But on its side, it's a new direction. They're only going to produce 130 of them. I'm just not sure whether the world actually needs these electric hypercars. I worry that it's an easy entry point, because you don't have to develop an IC drivetrain, and maybe we are going to a new world, new era with CO2 concerns. But supercars are not the reason there's global warming. They don't do any miles, they're a statement, they're emotional products, and doing an EV hypercar means you don't have the sounds, the emotions from that side of thing. It's heavier, so dynamically it's compromised, and it only gives you sort of one gear, it's one shot. All anyone talks about is the performance, the acceleration. Well, there's more to owning a hypercar than outright acceleration. It's how you feel emotionally about it. And an EV's hypercar is compromised, in my view, from what we expect from a hypercar. But I just love Lotus have got the investment to create such a thing, and it was a great statement of intent. But what I'm really interested in is, where does Geely take Lotus next? What other models have we got? Where's the next Elise coming? Where's the Alpine rival? Where are they going to tap into their expertise in dynamic, lightweight construction and the rest, and usable? It always was a hero brand. You could always afford a Lotus. You might desire the ultimate Porsche, but you could actually buy the Lotus, and then it would dynamically punch above its weight. That's what I love about Lotus. It's what I love about this little Elan, which has been terrific, absolutely terrific. Temperature sort of climbed up when we're sitting in traffic, but it was 27, 28 degrees yesterday. Hasn't used an ounce of water or oil or anything. Check the tank, it's still 3/4 full. So yeah, you might be seeing a bit more of this Elan, because it's an absolute little cutie. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a bit different, been exploring some other areas, looking at the future. But if you have enjoyed it, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon. As I extract myself from central London, Hyde Park Corner. Just been past Buckingham Palace as well. See you later.